You're listening to Murmurs and Mysteries, where the walls remember what you try to forget. If you like stories like this, I'd really appreciate a sub. Now, let's get back to room 733. I didn't believe the rumors at first. You hear a lot of things when you transfer mid-semester. Whispers about haunted dorms, suicidal students, windows that won't open. Most of it's college folklore. Some desperate attempt to make a stale campus feel alive. So when the RA warned me not to talk to the girl in room 733, I thought it was some hazing tradition. She doesn't exist, he said. Then who's behind the door, I asked. He smiled like he wasn't supposed to answer that. My new dorm was old. Not charming old, just tired. Stained carpet, flickering lights, peeling paint that tried its best to hide water damage. The 7th floor was supposed to be empty. Maintenance, mold, something like that. But they stuck me there anyway. Said the other floors were full. Said it wouldn't be for long. Said a lot of things. The first night I heard scratching. Not rats. Not pipes. Scratching. From the room next to mine. Room 733. I got up and leaned my ear against the wall. Slow dragging sounds, like nails over wood. Then, a knock. 3 times. Not from my door, from the shared wall. I stepped back, waited. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. Don't answer her. No matter what she says. No number, no contact. Just that message. That was my first night. And I haven't slept since. I didn't unpack. Just sat on the bed and stared at the wall. Room 733 was right next to mine. And now that I was listening for it, the sound came again. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Deliberate. Like it knew I could hear it now. I tried to brush it off, turned on music, left the lamp on, but sleep didn't come easy. Not with that message still sitting on my phone. Don't answer her, no matter what she says. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow, barefoot steps, pacing the hallway outside my room. But when I opened the door, nothing. The hallway stretched empty in both directions. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The smell of old bleach and mildew hung heavy in the air. I stepped out, just to prove to myself there was no one there. Then I saw her, at the far end of the hall. Long black hair, hospital gown, bare feet, standing still, arms at her sides, like a glitch in the corridor, not moving, just watching. I blinked. She was gone. I stood frozen for what felt like minutes. Then the door to 733 creaked behind me. Not open, but it moved. Just a nudge. Just enough to let me know it wasn't locked. I didn't go near it. I went back to my room. slid my desk in front of the door, and left every light on. In the silence that followed, I realized something that still makes my blood run cold. The scratching was coming from inside my wall, not the other room. I told myself it was sleep deprivation. The scratching, the text, the girl at the end of the hallway, just a brain misfiring after a long week. That's what I repeated while splashing water on my face in the flickering dorm bathroom, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like a swarm of flies. The mirror was cracked, warped around the edges, distorting everything slightly, which is why I almost missed her. Just behind me, not moving, not blinking, a girl with long black hair, pale skin like bleached paper, standing barefoot by the bathroom door. Her mouth was open too wide, like she'd been screaming for hours and just forgot to stop. I froze. In the reflection, she tilted her head slowly, jerky, like someone winding down a toy. But when I spun around, nothing. The doorway was empty. I backed away from the sink and nearly ran into Tanner. He was drying his hands like nothing had happened. "You good, man?" he asked, eyes darting just briefly toward the mirror. Did you see her? Behind me?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he muttered, "You're on 7, huh?" "Yeah." He looked at me, almost like he was sizing me up. "They shouldn't have put you here." And then he walked out, not saying another word. Back in my room, the lights felt dimmer than before. I double-checked the door lock, then the closet, under the bed. I even opened the drawers, like something could be hiding in 3 inches of dust and old school flyers. Everything was empty, but the air was heavy, pressurized, like something invisible was in the room with me, just outside my line of sight, holding its breath. Then my phone buzzed. No contact, no caller ID, just a text. "You saw her." I stared at it. Then another. "She saw you too." And then, "She's closer now." I didn't leave my room the rest of the day. Not out of fear. Not really. It was more like, if I stayed still, maybe the walls would too. The scratching hadn't stopped, but now it came with rhythm. Not random, not mindless. It was searching, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, like it was testing different patterns, trying to figure something out. I put my ear to the wall. At first, all I could hear was my own breathing. Then, in the quiet, a voice, clearer than before. "I know you can hear me." It wasn't pleading this time. It wasn't tired. It was aware. I stepped back, heart hammering. Then I heard it again, closer, but not through the wall. This time, it came from behind my dresser. "I'm in here," it said softly. "I moved." That stopped me cold. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, scanned the room. Nothing looked touched. But suddenly, every shadow felt deeper. Then the doorknob turned, just a little, then stopped. 3 knocks followed, slow, heavy. I stared at the door, not moving. And then I heard my own voice from the other side, my own voice pleading, "Let me in." I didn't sleep, not because I was afraid, but because I couldn't stop thinking about what I heard. My own voice speaking from the other side of the door. I waited all night for the knob to turn again. It didn't, but the silence felt like a threat all its own. By morning, I was cracked open, nerves fried, thoughts crawling. I needed answers. The RA was downstairs, half asleep on the couch in the common room, flipping through a dusty course catalog like it mattered. I sat across from him and waited. After a moment, he looked up and said, "You've lasted longer than the others." I didn't answer. He closed the catalog and sighed. Room 733 is not on the books. Hasn't been for years. They were supposed to seal it off, but the work order got buried. Budget cuts. Annoyed. "What happened?" I asked. His eyes drifted toward the ceiling, like he could hear something moving up there. People disappear, not just walk away. It's like the room swallows them. Has anyone ever made it out? He didn't speak for a long time. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out a folder. One of those ancient manila ones, edges worn, corners bent like it had been opened 1,000 times. "Don't keep this," he said. "Read it, give it back, and whatever you do, don't let her hear your name." I opened the file upstairs. Inside were photos. Blurry, grainy, faces I didn't recognize. A girl in a hospital gown, handwritten notes. One phrase kept repeating. She learns, she mimics, she follows. At the bottom of the folder was a printout of an email thread. Someone had tried to warn Housing Administration. The last reply was just 2 words. Too late. I closed the folder, and then I heard a whisper. Not from the wall, not from the hallway, from inside my closet. "I know your name now." I didn't open the closet. Not yet. I waited until daylight spilled in through the narrow window, until I could convince myself the voice was just an echo from my own sleep-deprived brain. But I kept hearing it. Soft, constant, not quite words, like breathing, threaded with static. I slid my desk in front of the closet and left it there. And I turned back to the wall. Room 733. I don't know what made me do it. Curiosity, maybe. Desperation. But I needed to see where the sound was coming from. I pulled my bed away from the wall, pried off the brittle vent cover near the floor, shined my phone light inside. Empty. But the wall behind it looked wrong. The paint was newer than everything else in the room. Pale, unblemished, almost too clean. I tapped it. Hollow. Then I noticed the seam. A thin vertical crack running from floor to ceiling, just wide enough to catch the light. Like someone had sealed off a door, then painted over it to make it disappear. I ran my fingers along it. It felt soft, not like drywall, like plaster. And underneath, something moved. a slow scrape. Not from the other side, from between the walls. My phone buzzed. A new message. No number. Don't break the seal. I stared at the wall, then grabbed a screwdriver from my drawer. The first chip came off easy. The second revealed a sliver of black space. The third, I stopped because something inside tapped back. 3 times. Slow. Measured. And then I heard it whisper, just inches from my face. Thank you. Took an hour to widen the hole. The plaster cracked like eggshells, flaking off in jagged pieces. Beneath it I found wood, old, dry, splintering, and a doorknob, not modern, brass, ornate, covered in something dark, stained. I didn't want to touch it, but I already had. The knob turned without resistance. The door creaked open. Behind it was a narrow passage, no wider than my shoulders, lined with decaying insulation and exposed beams. I held my phone out like a lantern. The light barely pierced the dark. It didn't smell like dust. It smelled like earth, like rot. I stepped inside. The door didn't close behind me, but it didn't feel open either. It felt sealed again, like I had passed through something one way. The passage sloped downward, impossibly steep for a dorm wall. I followed it, brushing past cobwebs and rusted nails, until the air turned cold. Then it opened into a room, small, square, no windows, no lights, and at the center, a bed, thin mattress, metal frame. Restraint straps still buckled to the sides. The walls were covered in writing, scratched deep over and over, as if by fingernails. Some were dates, others were names. All of them crossed out, except one. My name. Fresh, clear, no scratches over it. Just waiting. I turned around and saw her. The girl, standing just behind me, still, pale, watching. She opened her mouth. No sound came out. And then she smiled. She didn't move. She didn't speak, just smiled. I stepped back, but there was no wall behind me anymore. Only hallway. Not the one I came from. This one was longer, narrower. The kind of hallway that wasn't built, just grown. The girl turned and walked, silent steps, gown dragging along the uneven floor, and I followed her. Not because I wanted to, because it felt like the only way forward. The hallway bent in unnatural ways, soft curves sloping downward, pulsing slightly, like the building itself was breathing. The air smelled wrong now, metallic and wet, like old wires and fresh blood. There were doors on either side, all closed, all numbered 733. Some of them had scratches on the surface. Others had names carved in. One of them had my face etched into the wood. That's when I tried to turn back, but the hallway was gone. No entrance, no light, no sound, just 733, over and over, like a stutter in the architecture. I opened one of the doors. Inside, a copy of my dorm room. Same bed, same desk, same pile of clothes I left on the floor this morning. Except someone was sitting at the desk, back to me, head tilted, fingers twitching like a broken puppet, and playing from the phone on the desk, my own voice, reading the messages I hadn't sent yet. I saw her. She saw me too. She's inside now. The figure turned its head just slightly, just enough to see a sliver of its face. It wasn't mine, not exactly, but it was trying. I ran down the hallway past doors that repeated like static. Room 733, room 733, room 733, each one humming softly behind the wood like they were waiting. I stopped at the end of the corridor, only there was no end, just a mirror, tall, cracked, nailed directly into the wall. I stared into it. At first it looked normal, my reflection, pale and shaking. But then, it smiled. I didn't. I stepped closer. The reflection stayed still, not frozen, just watching, waiting for me to move again. Behind me, the girl's footsteps were soft and slow, but in the mirror, she was already at my side. And she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at him, at the version of me inside the glass. I turned, heart pounding, nothing there. But in the reflection, her hand touched my double shoulder. Then the mirror cracked, just slightly. I backed away. Another door appeared in the wall beside me, unmarked, the only one not labeled 733. I opened it. Inside, my dorm again. Except this time I was already in the bed, eyes open, staring directly at the door. The phone buzzed beside the copy of me. The screen lit up. A new message, sent from my number. Don't open the door, it's not you. Then the light went out, and the reflection smiled again. I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't pass in this place. It loops, stutters. Sometimes I wake up back in my bed. Sometimes I wake up watching myself sleep. I tried breaking the mirror once. It bled. I've opened 100 doors and they all lead back to room 733. Each one is a little more wrong than the last. The walls breathe, the floor hums, the girl watches. But she's not the only one anymore. There are others now, copies of me. Some scream, some whisper. One just laughs, all the time, and one just stares. He follows me through the halls. He moves when I move. But sometimes, I catch him walking ahead of me, knowing where I'm going before I do. Yesterday I found a phone on the floor. My phone, battery full, one message waiting. Upload complete. No sender, no signal, no camera on the device. Just the microphone. I think I'm broadcasting. I think I've been talking to you this whole time. If you're hearing this, don't come looking for room 733. It's already looking for you.